Hey everyone, it's Justin again, and in this video we're going to be starting our adventure into graphing by examining one of the most important parts of graphs, the slope. Graphs are typically seen as moving from left to right, and the slope is a measure of how steeply the line is going up. For instance, this red line has a slope of 2, while the blue line only has a slope of 1/2. It's easy to see that the red line is much steeper than the blue line. Meanwhile, this green line has a slope of -1. Why is it negative? Because as we go from left to right, the line goes down instead of up. All right, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Sure, slopes tell how steep the line is and whether it's going up or down, but how are we supposed to know what the slope is? Calculating slope is actually really simple. The formula is defined as delta y over delta x. So now you understand. No, I thought not. This definition doesn't really help us much. So let's define it. The term delta just means how much something changes. So this would actually be read as the change in y over the change in x. Okay, we're getting there. At least now the definition is in words. But there's a shorter version, the version that most people remember the best. Rise over run. So let's take a look at how this actually works using some examples. Let's try to calculate the slope of this line using rise over run. First, we'll need 2 points on the line. So let's use this point, which is 1, 1, and this point, which is 2, 3. To use rise over run, first we need to measure how far the line rises between the points. From 1, 1 to 2, 3, it goes up 2 units. And what about the run? When we say run, we just mean the same as rise, but sideways. So from left to right, it runs only 1 unit. So then the rise is 2 and the run is 1, giving us the fraction 2 over 1, which is just 2. So the slope of this line is 2. Remember how I struggled to decide which points to use? Well, that's because you can use any 2 points on the line. It doesn't matter which ones. You could use -1, -3, and 0, -1, and it'll still rise 2, run 1. We could even make the points further apart, like -2, -5, and 3, 5. The rise and run will seem different, but when we put them into the rise over run fraction and divide them, we still get a slope of 2. The only thing to be careful of is going the wrong direction. You always want to go left to right. If you accidentally go backwards, you'll get the wrong answer. So let's do a couple more examples. For this one, pick any 2 points. I'm going to use -6, -2, and 4, 3, but I encourage you to use 2 different points and see if we get the same answer. For the points I chose, my rise is 5, and my run is 10. 5 divided by 10 is 1/2, so the slope of this line is 1/2. All right, last example. You can probably tell just from looking at it, but this will have a negative slope since it's going downward. I'm going to use the points -1, 1, and 1, -4, but again, I encourage you to try it with other points as well. The rise is 5, but it's going down, so really it's falling. That's why we make the rise -5, to show that it's actually doing the opposite of rising. Then the run is 2. So we get -5 over 2, which we can leave as -5/2. Or we can divide it and get -2.5. In the next lesson, we'll basically be doing the opposite of this lesson. Now that we know how to find slope from a line, we'll be learning how to use slope to graph a line.